We see Nancy and her other son and daughter standing over Scott's dead body in a bag as we hear, "They're back!" We see Urban and his man walk in covered in blood as Nancy runs up to them and says, "What the hell happened?" Urban says, "There's more of them than we thought. We got ambushed out there. Nancy, this is way bigger than we fucking thought. There's no way we can stop them on our own." Nancy says, "Well, maybe we should reach out to Ragnar." Urban says, "Oh, well, it's your fucking lucky day, because that's exactly what Cody's doing." Cody says, "Look, they ambushed us out there. Living like this, with your son dead, we're gonna need everyone we can get." Back with Rob's group. We see Rob and the rest walking on a trail, as we see some are in a horse and wagon, as we see the two from the West family and the other two new people are all riding in the back, as Rob and Jade are walking out front. As Jade sees a deadhead and it's just half a body crawling on the ground, and she says, "I got it." Rob sees her kill it and he says, "You're doing that shit all by yourself now. You're good. You really didn't need me at all." Jade says, "I always need you, Dad. Thanks for saving me back there." Rob says, "I wouldn't have stopped. I hope you know that. You've been my purpose for many years. Hell, without you, I'm just a creepy old man in the woods eating snakes and squirrels." Jade chuckles as they keep walking. We see the four others as the blonde woman says, "Holly, what did they do to you?" Holly says, "Me, Morgan, and our crew were out there on a hunt while those psychopaths ambushed us. They killed Pete. Hell, they almost killed all of us." Morgan says, "We barely survived that night." The woman says, "We barely survived too. I'm just glad you're both okay." Holly says, "You can stay with us for the time being till these psychopaths are dealt with." The woman says, "We should get back home." The guy says, "I can't leave my mother not knowing about this." Holly looks at them and says, "Ryder, Mara, no offense, but you both look like shit and very roughed up. I know the deal that we struck with your mother to keep to ourselves, but let me help you this time." As Mara says, "Okay, thanks." Ryder says, "It's much appreciated." We see them approaching a shore as they stop there, as Rob says, "So Holly, Morgan, when are y'all gonna tell me where the hell this place of yours is anyway?" Morgan says, "It's just a little further." Rob says, "You know, I'm learning something about this West family, I must say." Mara says, "What?" Rob says, "You all keep a lot of secrets around here." He sees a few deadheads as Mara says, "Get everything in the boat. Me and Rob will take care of them." As we see the sun going down, as we see Jade, Holly, Ryder, and Morgan getting on this boat, as they get the horses on board, and as they're doing that, we see Rob and Mara killing several deadheads in front of them. Rob sees one of them has crabs on their face, as Rob looks horrified, as Mara kills it, as he says, "What the fuck was that?" Mara says, "That was gross as shit, I can't lie. Ugh. Come on, let's go." As they all get in this big boat and sail off to go to Holly and Morgan's home. Back at Blackberry Ranch, we see Urban and Nancy sitting by a campfire, as Urban is looking at a bad cut on his arm, as Nancy says, "What the hell happened to you?" Urban says, "That fucking Jade. She and her people nicked me out there. I'll be alright." Nancy looks upset and says, "I told you we shouldn't have resorted to this life, Urban. I told you that this type of shit would happen to us." Urban raises his voice and says, "Well, this is what we had to do. Crops failed, Nancy. We can't hunt anymore because those things come back and rip your goddamn face off. It's either this or I would watch my family die of starvation. Do you think I like living like this? I don't like it any more than you do. But Ragnar didn't want to help us when we needed it.
and I had to make sure that we lived. I had to make sure that my family lived.
Nancy looks at her dead son's corpse and throws it in the fire, as we see a tear going down her face as she says, "Well, how'd that turn out for us?" She gets up and walks away as Urban stares into the fire with a look of sadness.